Hi guys, and welcome to another WordPress video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, today we're going to be using the free plugin Contact Form 7, which is a great WordPress plugin. When you create a form, it sort of comes up with this form, which is great. It's fine, functional, works. But you may want to style it to be more in style with everything else you've got going on your site. And to do that, we need to use a bit of custom CSS. So we're going to sort of turn this form into this form with a bit of BoxShadow, change the colors on the names and things like that, and the options boxes, and make a hover color and make the button a bit bigger. It's pretty easy to do, and any code I write today I'll put below, and you're welcome to use it and just change the colors and things to use as your own. So let's get started. If we go back to the dashboard of the site here, Contact Form 7 itself is a free plugin, and if you don't have it, just hit Add New and type in Contact Form 7. And it'll pop up in a little search box right here. Just go ahead and activate it, or install it, then activate it. Once you've done that, you can have this little box right here. Now if we click on the little box, it's going to give you a generic form. You can start and make your own if you want to, but the generic form they got there is a great starting place. Let's edit this one. And as you can see, if you don't know code, it looks a bit strange, but you've got text lines, email addresses, URL, web URLs, telephone, regular numbers, dates, etc. And to put one of these into your form, when you first get your form, it'll probably just have a name, email, and a text area and a submit button. To add these other little things, I've added pretty much all of them to this form so I can customize it and give you the code. Simply put your cursor where you want to put the field. For instance, let's put a date between the email and the telephone number. So put your cursor down in between the email and the telephone number and just click the date. And it'll ask you, you can put in different things here. And you can also give it a CSS class, which is great. And then when you're happy with everything there, just put it in there. Usually you don't have to edit any of those forms. It'll put in the generic version for you, which is fine. When you're happy, just save. Now, I'm not going to save this because I've already got my form. Now, to put your form onto a page, all you need to do is copy this contact form shortcode up here. Just left click on it, it'll select it all for you. Hit Control C to copy, or right click and copy, however you want to do it. Go to the page you want to put it in. Let's add a new page. I'll call it Form 7. There we go. And where you start writing, like I say, this is just the generic 2020 WordPress theme. It's the same for most themes. You just put it in a little text box, paste your shortcode in there. Then when you're happy, just save it as a draft. We can preview it, and there we are. It's put the form in right there. Now, like I say, that's all well and good, but you may want to style it just to look a little bit more in keeping with what you've got going on. So let's go back here and go to our theme customizer and close that one out, and we'll go down to appearance and customize. I'm going to leave this. I don't want to save those changes to that form. And I set the form page as the home page here, so it comes up in the customizer. If not, you can do this, what we're about to do, on the regular page itself. And let's go to additional CSS, because this is where we have to put in any code we write. And what you want to do is select whichever element you want to edit. Let's start with these titles, the labels here. I'm right clicking on them. I'm going to hit inspect. I'm using Google Chrome here with the fantastic inspector tools, and most browsers have this. I think I know Firefox does. I don't use Edge very much, so I don't know about that, but Chrome's a free download if you want to use it. But once you're in here, we've got our label, which is our title up here. And as you can see, it says label over here. If you've got the Elements tab selected over here, you'll have HTML, and the Styles tab over on this side, you'll have CSS. Your inspector may be going down the side of the page or somewhere else. 3 little dots here, you can put it where you want. I've got mine on the bottom, as you can see at the moment. Okay, and here's the label. First thing I want to do is make the font a little bigger. So it says font size there. And anything where it's already got an entry, we'll have to use the important attribute just to force it. So I'm going to say 18 pixels, maybe a little too much. And then I'm going to say exclamation important. And let's give it a different color. Let's make it blue. I'm using blue for all of these, and when I give you the code, just change the blue for whatever hex color or whatever color you want to use. So we'll say color blue. As you can see, it's changed it to blue. If you want to change the font family, it's using the generic font family of the site at the moment. Just put in font family, the type of font family you want. I'm going to make mine Arial, a sans-serif font rather than the serif font they've got there. So just left click after last entry, it'll let you put another one in there. And now we've changed it to the Arial, and as a fallback we've got Helvetica, and whatever it falls back to, it will fall back to a sans-serif. That's without the little flourishy bits on the bottom there. Okay, that's great. So we've got our little labels done there. That's fine. Now to make this permanent, we need to write it into our CSS, because if I refresh the page now, it's just going to revert back to how it was. And as you can see, it's done all of our little titles there. So let's copy this. I'm going to copy label all the way down to the closing curly bracket right there. Control C to copy, and I'm going to paste it in here. Now we didn't change display block, so we can get rid of that. Font size, font family we did change, color blue we did change, we didn't change the weight, and we didn't change the margin, so we can get rid of that. And hit publish. And now we've made that actually permanent. So now let's move down to our little text field here, and I'll do the same thing, right click, hit inspect, and it'll bring it up for us. And if we look at the highlighted area here, we go over to classes, and there's a lot of them here. The only one we want is a WPC F7 text. So I'm going to double click, it'll highlight that little class area. I'm going to left click and select that. Now because it's a class, I'm going to paste it in below our last entry here. Now because it's a class, we need to put a dot in front of it, or a period. So it's period WPC F7 text, open and close some brackets. Now if you don't want to do all this yourself, you can skip down below this video and just copy what I've done and paste it into yours. But if you want to learn how to do it yourself, just follow along. I'm not going to go through it all, but I'll go through most of it. Okay, so what do we actually want to do for this? Here's our element style. I want to give it perhaps a different background color, so we'll say background. I'll just say light gray. And anywhere you see a color, like I say, you can undo that. Now if I just leave that as it is, it won't actually do it. We'll have to force it because it's already got a background color. So what I need to do is, after the light gray, same thing as we did before, exclamation mark important. Now you don't want to use the import class unless you have to. In this case we have to if we want to change that color. And we also need to spell light gray correctly, because with CSS, if you don't spell things right, it won't work. It happens sometimes when I'm talking and coding. Okay, so we got that. What else do we want to do to it? We can give it a border. So we'll say border, colon, and we'll say 1 pixel wide, 1 pixel, solid. And let's give it blue again. for consistency. Now it's got a little border around it. And anything that you don't want when I put this in, just simply delete that line of CSS. And let's give it a bit of box shadow as well, just to show it off. Box shadow. Colon, and we'll have it 0 pixels. And then we'll have it 5 pixels to the right. And we'll give it 10 pixels spread. And let's give it a color of, say, 777, which is a sort of dark gray. And as you can see, it's got that box shadow around it now. Now, you might notice it's only doing the one we're on at the moment. When I actually copy it over here, it's going to do every one with that class name, which will be all the text entries apart from the big text area at the bottom. So I think that's all we really want to do to that one. So let's just copy the 3 lines that we've written: border, box shadow. Oh, that was it. We seem to be missing our background color there. That's all right, we can put it in there. Let's copy this. And we'll put this in there. And let's also put in the background color of light gray. And of course we'll have to put in the important on that one too. And there we go. And next up is our little drop down box right there, which I think it's a select box. Again, right click. And there it is. Again, you can do what you want to it. WPF's select. And I'll just put in the code that I've pre-written for this when I did it earlier. You can go through exactly the same way we did with these if you want to, and do it that way. And as you can see, that star, that I gave it a bit more padding either side, blue, light grey again, a bit of box shadow. So that's that one taken care of for us. And let's put in a bit more for our list items. If you run out of room at the bottom, just hit your return several times and it'll drop down for you, and we'll put this one in here. Now there's only one left now. It's just our little text area here, then we'll work on the button. And exactly the same for the text area, it's just got a different class name. There we are, so we've got it looking like those, and I did exactly the same. You can actually copy over the text you used from your top one here if you want to, the actual WPC F7 text. That'll work fine. And the last thing we want to work on here is the button, and you can do all kind of things with buttons. I actually created a hover effect for it as well with this, and again it's the submit, and it's WPC F7 submit is the class, and then of course put in whatever you want in here. Now one thing I will mention here is the color that it is at the moment is dictated, let's just save this, by your custom styles of your theme. It's inheriting it from the custom styles of the theme. So if you had a red motif going on, it would be red. I'll just show you. If we go back, let's go to the top here, and we'll go to our colors. Now here's the primary color of the theme right here in the 2020 theme. If you hit custom, you can change it to whatever color you want it to, and that'll dictate the regular color of the button. Now to add a hover color of the button, I'll add a hover effect in a moment. So let's go back to our custom CSS. And what I'll do is, this one I want to make it a bit wider, so I'm going to say width, say 300 pixels. As you can see, that's made that button a little bit wider. And we can add a bit of box shadow. For simplicity, I'll just copy it from here. Now I want it to have a different color, and I want it to lose the box shadow when we hover over it. And I also want it to take a little bit of time, say a second, to transform between the two colors. So we want to add transition, colon, and a transition time. For simplicity, I'm going to put 1 second. You can put 0.5 seconds or however you want to, however amount of time you want to put in with yours. And again, we'll have to put the important class to force it. Now when you're happy with the way your button's looking, we want to put it over here. And remember, we need that class of WPC7 submit, so double left click, grab this one, and it's a class, so we need to put a period in front of it. There it is, open and close some curly brackets, and paste our code in between there, right here. And that should make it permanent once we publish. Okay, great. So we've got that going. Now we want it to have a little different color hover effect. And I don't know if you notice, when I hover over it there, it's got that little underline there. I don't want that underline over the link. So let's get rid of that. And that's going to be text decoration. So we'll say text decoration. Colon, none. And again, we'll have to force it. Semicolon. And you always need a semicolon after your code. If you don't put one there, it won't read the next line of code. Alright, so now let's do the hover effect. So I'm going to copy this, which is the class name of the button. Paste it down there. Now, no gap after submit. That's really important. No gap, and then a colon, and then the name hover, and then open and close some curly brackets. Now, what do we want to do when it hovers? Well, I want to change the color, so I'm going to have a background. Let's say green, semicolon. And again, we'll probably have to force that, so let's put the important there. And if you do it and it doesn't work and you haven't got the important on there, try adding the important, and that usually fixes most issues like that. And box shadow, well, box shadow, don't want any. That'll give it the appearance that it's that it's pushing in. So let's put that box shadow below. Whoops. So let's copy box shadow from here. Control C. And we'll put this one below. Box shadow, and we want none. N-O-N-E. And again, we want important. Okay, that's pretty much everything we needed on that form. Now that it's published, let's go and let's refresh the page. And there we have it. We've got all our box shadows, the colors and everything. Let's see if our hover is going to work okay. There we go. As you can see, that's taking a second to transform from blue to green. One thing that sends a little bit dark, can we make that a little brighter, I wonder? So that's going to be in our submit. If I should just be able to put color white. Yeah, that works a little bit better. That's better. Great. So I hope you've enjoyed that and found it useful. If you have, please ring the bell, give it a thumbs up, share, comment and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.